The Nonduality of Rumi. Maulana Jalal al-Din Rumi, the great Sufi poet and mystic, expressed the fundamental tenets of non-dual philosophy with unparalleled beauty and clarity. His poetry, which is deeply rooted in the Islamic tradition but speaks to the universal human experience, reveals the truth of the oneness of all things. Through his words, Rumi invites us to recognize the inherent unity that underlies all of existence. He teaches that we are not separate from the world around us, but rather intimately connected to it. And that the essence of our being is one with the essence of all things. Rumi was a 13th century Persian poet, scholar, and mystic who is widely regarded as one of the greatest spiritual figures in history. He was born in 1207 in Balkh in what is now Afghanistan. He is popularly known as Rumi, a name which comes from Arabic and literally means Roman. He acquired this name because he spent much of his life in Rum in Anatolia, an area which had previously been part of the Roman Byzantine Empire. Rumi's early life was marked by drama when his family fled their homeland due to the Mongol invasion, and settled in Konya, which is in present-day Turkey. It was there that Rumi met his spiritual mentor, Shams Tabrizi, an accomplished mystic and scholar who had spent many years studying and practicing spiritual disciplines before he met Rumi. When they first met, Rumi was already a well-respected scholar and teacher in his own right. But he felt a sense of spiritual incompleteness and longing that Shams was able to help him address. Shams became Rumi's guide and mentor, and through their relationship, Rumi was able to deepen his understanding of spiritual truths, and develop his own unique spiritual voice. After several years, Shams left Konya and settled in Khoi, where he lived the rest of his life. The exact reason for Shams' sudden departure from Rumi's life is not clear, but the consensus is that Shams left because he had fulfilled his role as a spiritual guide. Whatever the reason for his departure, it had a profound impact on Rumi, leading him to a period of deep mourning and spiritual transformation, which ultimately resulted in the birth of his poetry. Rumi's poetry is full of images and metaphors that point to the non-dual nature of reality. He speaks of the ocean and the wave, the sun and its rays, the lover and the beloved, all of which are distinct but ultimately inseparable from each other. He invites us to see through the illusion of separation and recognize the underlying unity that binds us all. Rumi wrote many works of poetry, but most literary experts agree that Masnavi, a 6-volume series, is his most famous poem. The series is about 50,000 lines long and teaches Sufis how to find love in God, often comparing the intimacy of God's love to that of a lover. In his famous poem The Guest House, Rumi teaches us to welcome all experiences, both positive and negative, as guests in our lives. He reminds us that all experiences are ultimately expressions of the same underlying reality, and that we can embrace them with equanimity and love. Here are some quotes from Rumi's poetry that illustrate the non-dual nature of reality. In his poem I Am Not of This World, he says, I am neither of the East nor of the West, no boundaries exist within my breast. This speaks to the freedom and universality of the non-dual truth. In his beautiful poem The Breeze at Dawn, he says, the breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. This reminds us that, once we hear the whispers of the truth, we don't forget and return to the dream world of our sleep. In his poem A Great Wagon, he says, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. This speaks to the non-dual concept that ultimate truth is beyond concepts of right and wrong. On love, he says, the minute I heard my first love story, I started looking for you, not knowing how blind that was. Lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along. This illustrates the non-dual nature of love and the interconnectedness of all things. In his poem Divani Shamsi Tabrizi says, You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean, in a drop. This emphasizes the oneness of all things and how consciousness permeates everything. On our spiritual search, he says, what you seek, is seeking, you. This speaks to the non-dual truth that what we seek is not separate from ourselves but is already present within us. He beautifully explains that we should experience everything fully in life, the good and the bad, the sad and the joyful. When he says, the rose and the thorn, and sorrow and gladness are linked together. Just like the Taoist concept of yin and yang. Rumi passed away on December 17, 1273, in Konya, Turkey. His death was mourned by people of many different religions, including Muslims, Christians, and Jews, who all recognize the profound spiritual insights and universal wisdom of his poetry. Rumi founded the Order of Mevlevi, also known as the Whirling Dervishes, and it continues to this day. Its members honor Rumi's memory through their practice of whirling meditation and other spiritual practices. Rumi's poetry has also been embraced by many in the West, where it has inspired countless people on their spiritual journeys. Today, Rumi is considered a bridge between East and West, and his poetry continues to speak to the universal human experience, inviting us to awaken to the non-dual truth of existence and the boundless love that connects us all. Rumi's poetry invites us to transcend the limitations of the separate self and recognize the boundless, infinite nature of our true being. He shows us that the non-dual truth of existence is not a distant abstraction, but rather a living reality that is always present within us. In this way, Rumi's poetry encapsulates the essence of non-dual philosophy, and encourages us to see through the illusion of separation, and recognize the underlying unity of all things. As a final quote, very reminiscent of Ramana Maharishi, Rumi said on the subject of death, "On the day I die, when I'm being carried toward the grave, don't weep. Don't say he's gone. He's gone. Death has nothing to do with going away." Thanks for watching.